Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of There's More to the Story. I have already started drinking for the night, second glass. Um
It was a rough one, huh?
but today we will be recording The Hidden Staircase. For some odd reason, the second story of the Nancy Drew series.
They don't need to be
Um
read in order.
Until when I realized it was the second one, I was like, why the fuck did we start on the second book?
They're miscellaneous stories. There's no, timeline, as far
Uh-huh.
as I'm aware.
Sure.
I looked it up just to make sure before we started reading that it didn't matter. I'll give a little summary of this little Nancy Drew mystery. Basically, there are kind of two things happening at once in this one. So on one hand, Nancy's father has is he a lawyer or something? I don't know.
He's a lawyer.
Okay. So he's a lawyer, and there's some deal going down with the railroad that he thinks is fishy, and he's getting death threats, basically. Someone's like, you need to stick by your father and make sure that nothing happens to him. And at the same time, she gets a case from her dear friend Helen, who's like, my mansion is haunted, so can you come check this out? Everybody thinks we're crazy. So she kind of decides to do both things at once. All right, so any thoughts to kick us off?
Absolutely not.
Um, okay, I'll start then. So, do you know what edition of the book that you have?
1959 version.
Okay, me too. I ask this because I did not realize that they were revised. I don't think I knew quite how old Nancy was.
Because they were racist originally.
I'm like, where do you even put racism in here? Where are you fitting this in? Like, but I guess they rewrote it so we wouldn't see it.
Yeah, no, I don't think this one was like one of the more racist ones. There are like other ones that like have like the way they talk about people, the way they like certain things that they say. It's like, that's not right.
I'm not
very
saying
copacetic.
I'm not saying this in particular is racist, but it did make me laugh when they were like trying to find Nancy's dad at the hospital, and she was like, well, it's certainly not this man who's been admitted to the hospital. He's Chinese. I was like, okay.
Yeah, no, I honestly I knew like some of the history about it like being like a little bit racist, and I was like waiting for like the other shoe to drop like through most of it. I was just like, oh god, when is it gonna come? What part is it gonna be at?
Yeah, I think moving away from like the way that it was revised, and we'll come back to that because I do have some questions from like what, but part of it is that for me now realizing how old Nancy was, because I was introduced to Nancy Drew in 2007 when the Emma Roberts movie came out, and then after that I was into like the video games and like the board games of Nancy Drew, but I never like actually read the books. So I'm so surprised that everybody is so chill with this 18-year-old female detective when it was originally written in the 30s.
30s.
Like, it's the 1959 version, at least, is a bit progressive, I think. You know, it was very fascinating to me that everyone was just like so confident that she is the most capable person for the job, and it was pretty refreshing to see. Even if it was a bit unrealistic, it was refreshing to see, especially for young girls reading this, that this girl can go in and take charge of the situation and nobody like questions her. And nobody's like, what are you doing in here, little girl? They're like, the police are literally asking her advice.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
Which I was like, what? You're just gonna be like, hey, nice job gathering clues. You're not gonna be like, this is dangerous. Don't go stalking men you thought killed or kidnapped your father.
No, there was like one part where she wanted to get inside some house that's already been sold off, and they were just
Yeah.
like, don't go breaking and entering. And she was like, no, of course not. Go ask for permission, the fuck. And I'm just thinking Scooby-Doo would have just broken and entered. Like,
Yeah, of course they would.
break in and enter. Like, what are you doing? You gotta commit some kind of crime. Um no, but like back to your like original point, I will say there is something that's brewing in my brain about like white feminism and like people of color, and I don't feel like finishing it, so I'm not going to.
All right, you're gonna dangle the carrot.
Yeah, there's something there, but I don't feel like going into it,
Okay.
especially over a kid's book. I also don't feel
When
like
have we
trying to,
ever
like,
been
fully
like, oh, this is
formulate
too
it.
much for a kid's book?
It's not really the fact that it's a kid's book. It's the fact that this is literally my second drink of the night, and I'm just not. I don't feel like trying to follow the thought path that's
Yeah.
there. So we're gonna put it out there. You guys know that I think there's something, and I'm not gonna continue.
Yeah, I think this is also like just she's like the most fearless heroine or hero for that matter
Mm-hmm.
that I've read about in a very long time. There's literally not. I mean, I know there were like a couple times when she was talking about like her father, and what might have happened to him, where she was
Yeah.
like, you know, I'm scared, but she, other than that, like literally does not have a fearful bone in her body.
Yeah.
There was a moment where I tagged it here, but I don't remember which tab it was. But there was a moment where Helen was like, oh, I hear something where, like, you know, there's a hole here, blah, blah, blah. Like, this might be where the staircase is. And
Mm-hmm.
she literally immediately is like, where? And, like, goes in. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you gonna get yourself killed, girl.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know if this thing's dangerous.
That's because she's white. You guys don't think. You just go, and then boom, you're dead. It's like, fuck.
To be fair, Helen's got the sense in this group, okay?
Mm-hmm.
She's like, maybe we should leave this to the police. And Nancy's like, don't be silly. I'm right here. I also didn't realize she was 18. For some reason, I thought she was younger.
I did too. I thought she was like 15, maybe.
Yeah. And I think, like, the movies that come out later, like, you know, more modern movies, I think they make her, like, 16.
You know what I realized when I was reading this?
What?
I've literally never consumed anything with Nancy Drew. I was very aware of who Nancy Drew is.
Mm-hmm.
I could have sworn up and down that like maybe she was brought up, or like there was a crossover episode and like some other like thing that I've like watched. Like I was thinking maybe it was like a Scooby-Doo episode, or maybe there was like Sabrina the animated series. Like I'm going way back, and I'm like, how do I know this girl? Because I've never seen the Nancy Drew movie.
It's
I've
like
not played any
Betty
games.
White, you know?
She's
just in there. She's programmed from birth, basically.
Yeah.
I wonder if Nancy Drew or the Hardy Boys came first. I know there's a collab somewhere, like a TV show, because they're basically
They're
like
by
the
the
same
same-
kind of premise.
Yeah, they're in like the same. I can't think of who the person is. Okay, Edward Stratemeyer, how the fuck you said this man's name, was the original writer of the Rowdy Boy. Nope,
Oh,
Hardy for the Hardy Boys. I was reading something else as I was also trying to like say their names, and it didn't work out well. But he's also like, even if he didn't write all of them, I'm pretty sure it was like there was like a ghostwriter as well as like somebody using a pseudonym for those stories. But he was involved in the process for Nancy Drew, but he did both.
yeah. Well, I was looking at Carolyn Keene, and so apparently nobody knows really who wrote which book, because Carolyn Keene isn't like really a person. She's an organization of like all these writers who like just like throw out Nancy Drew stories. which I thought was kind of interesting, and I wonder like how they keep.
It's giving James Patterson.
Yeah, yeah, it's like those. Oh, also, Millie Bobby Brown just came out with her debut novel, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, did she actually write this? Because a lot of celebrities don't. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I was really hoping she did, but it was ghostwritten. Um, but that I was literally thinking about this when I figured out the whole Carolyn Keene situation, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like ghostwriting. I don't know if I want to say it should be illegal, but I feel like it should not be as common as it is. That how is that not plagiarism?
Yeah.
Like I understand you sign a contract and like you're allowing it, but like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it should not be a job because right like for writing you have to have the idea and the ability to execute it. Like just because you have the idea doesn't mean it's your book. You didn't fucking write that. That's like
Shout
putting
out
out
to James Patterson, first of all,
it's
who's
like
literally written everything. And then moved on to like James Patterson Presents, blah 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 blah.
Rick
Um,
Riordan does that too. But I
yeah,
think that like presents
that's
is
different.
different.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's still the actual author of the story is on there, and it gives visibility to that author.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you see Rick Riordan or James Patterson presents, you're like, oh, I like that author. I'll pick this up. But
Right.
to just be like, and this is not specifically hating on Millie Bobby Brown. This is just the recent example I have. But to say like
Mm-hmm.
19 Steps by Millie Bobby Brown, and that's it. It's like just because you threw a prompt out there or did research doesn't mean you wrote a book. Like what? I don't know how
Yeah.
ghost writing is still a profession.
You could at least did like a nice little co-written kind of deal
Right.
going on.
Millie and Catherine McGurl, who's the ghostwriter.
Mm.
Like she wrote a little blog post, and honestly, I would. She's like, just so we're clear, I'm the author.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember reading the Vampire Diaries books growing up, which were written by L.J. Smith, and I'm pretty sure that was just like a pseudonym or whatever that she used. But she stopped writing the books after like maybe the second trilogy they did, because for whatever reason she did like I think it was like four trilogies,
Mm.
and that's how she like broke up the books. But it was still like the same storyline or like the same series and whatnot. But yeah, she switched over to just like it being ghostwritten for like the rest of them, and it just not the same vibes. The vibes were completely taken out. It's not written on the books, but I'm pretty sure it's like a known fact for like anybody who was actually like a fan of like the original books themselves. Um, I halfway remember who the first ghostwriter was. I have no clue who the next one was, but yeah, I'm just like thinking of like that situation of like, bestie, where'd you go?
Yeah.
I miss I wanted your work, not not Aubrey. What's her face? That's not what I wanted.
Yeah. So I was wondering like when I was reading this, I mean obviously this is the second Nancy Drew story, so
Mm-hmm.
but like for the stories that came along later, I'm like wondering how they keep that consistent. It's basically fan fiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're
Mm-hmm.
like reading the original product and you're trying to like keep
Match
it the
it,
same vibe and tone and style.
which a lot of fanfic does not. At least the ones I consume. I've gone so completely away from the
I feel like
original
there are
work.
two types of fan fiction though. There's like fan fiction, and then there's people
Mm-hmm.
writing fiction with
Yeah,
the names of people from shows
and
that have like
within
literally
that
nothing to do
universe,
with the show.
yeah, yeah.
Um. So, anyways, as far as the actual plot for this went,
Mm-hmm.
didn't love it.
I was bored.
I was bored,
I was so
and
bored.
here's why. I feel like it could have had a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
Even I would go as far as to say, even if the title was different, if the title was The Haunted House or
Which
whatever,
in the beginning, that's what they introduced the mystery as. Like, there's a haunted house.
well, it's throughout the whole story. The reason why we know it's not
Mm-hmm.
haunted is because it's called the hidden staircase. So we
Yeah.
already know how the culprit is getting about. She just takes 130 pages to confirm that there's a hidden staircase. So we're basically like just waiting for that shoe to drop and then shit goes down, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like even if there was a different title, then we wouldn't have known that there was a hidden staircase,
Yeah.
and it we would have been like, "Oh my god, how is this happening?" And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it would have been more compelling. But also, I don't know if this is to if we're attributing this to the fact that it is a children's book.
Mm-hmm.
So, non-experienced readers might not realize that two storylines are being introduced because they're connected.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there was the thing where we have the first chapter of the haunted house. Helen presents a case. Great. She wants to take the case. Then her father's threatened. We're
Yeah.
told at the beginning that this really has nothing to do with it, but if it had nothing to do with it, it's too convoluted. We're like, why are you bringing in this thing that doesn't matter? So
Mm-hmm.
obviously they're connected, and
Yeah.
literally, I'm looking at page 36, where Aunt Rosemary says that Nathan Gomer, who was the person that basically puts a threat on her father and is like, you better
Mm-hmm.
stay close to him. Um, Aunt Rosemary said, I think her caller's probably the man who wants to buy Twin Elms. She turned to Nancy and Helen, but Mother doesn't want to sell for the low price that he is offering. So immediately I was like, oh,
It's
it's
him.
this
Yeah.
guy because
Yeah.
he's trying to make it look haunted, so they sell the house for a cheaper price.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so the whole time I was waiting for, like, there to be another element where it's like, you thought it was this guy, it was
Yeah.
actually this guy. But then it was just what
Maybe
I
they just
guessed on
didn't
page
want to.
36.
Maybe they just didn't want to confuse the little ones that were
That's
reading
what I'm
them.
saying. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's probably attributed to the fact that it is a children's book.
Yeah.
But I do think the sign of a really good book is that you can, like, there's lots of children's books you can read into adulthood.
Yeah.
It is a mystery though, so I'm,
Like
I'm
Percy
giving it
Jackson.
grace. Like Percy Jackson. Check out our episodes, guys. Nice little promo.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I that's why I was kind of bored, because not only did the title give it away, but like it's so easy to guess.
Yeah. I will say this is another one where I was listening to the audiobook instead of like reading it myself,
Oh.
because I just really didn't want to. So I thought let's listen to it while we're doing all the things that we have to do anyways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Would just make it easier. So, I don't know if that's what contributed to me not knowing who the fuck anybody was. I just felt like there were so many names that were being tossed at me. And I'm like, who the hell is Nathan? Who is this Gomber? I don't know what's happening.
It took
I
me
don't know who
so
it
long
is.
to figure out that Hannah and Helen were two different people.
It's too much. Why are you got these like similar names? I will say this is me getting off topic again. I know that's the reason why some like book to TV show things they will change names because of the fact that they recognize that the names are too similar.
Yeah.
You're going to confuse your audience.
I would say
Like,
if it starts with the same syllable,
don't do
no,
it.
no,
Don't do it.
because people are going to confuse it. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was just like I don't know who anybody is right now. I know Nancy.
Really?
I know Nancy. The attractive blonde, and then I guess was Helen the pretty brunette, or was it Hannah? See, I don't even know that part.
I think that's Helen, because Hannah's the housekeeper. So,
Okay,
yeah.
the pseudo mom figure. Okay,
Yeah,
her
where's her
dad who
mama?
goes unnamed. I don't know. Dead.
Her dad, her dad goes named.
Is he?
Yes. But
He's the
but
lawyer.
it's a throwaway. His name starts with a C. I can't remember what it is.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why, but like a lot of like I don't know about books, but I know like a lot of sitcoms from like that time period. We don't have full families.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the mom, it's usually the mom that's gone, and it's like why did we take her away? Where'd she go?
Yeah.
Bring
Which
mom back.
there feels like there's something to unpack there.
I have seen
Like,
some
why do you
theories
always
about it.
choose the mom?
Hmm.
Where is this group of mommy issues?
There was one theory that I saw on YouTube that was just like the mom is usually like the heart of the family. So you're taking the heart out and you're trying to see, hey, what can we do now? How can this family survive now?
Yeah, but like, what?
It was a very long time ago that I saw this series. Cut me some slack. But yeah, no, they're just like, we're gonna take the mom out. We're gonna see what happens. Because if mom is there, the same shenanigans isn't gonna go down.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So like the dad is not as like present, so he's not gonna
They're
like.
not as present. They're not as smart usually. Um, like I don't mean like they're dumb. It's just like sometimes they're like the goofy kind of person, and they're not like
Yeah.
they don't really think things through all
Well,
the
that's
time.
like literally Mr. Drew here, who's like, I know you're itching for a new case. Like, go for it. Like, you're just gonna let your first of all,
Mm-hmm.
also for it being like the 30s and like almost 60s, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Baby girl should be off getting married, having kids somewhere. What is she doing solving mysteries?
for the time period. Like, and don't get me wrong, like I like that he is so supportive of her independence, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, maybe support like a less dangerous independence. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I mean, he really does not, like, he's like, oh, be careful, but lets her go investigate how she
Yeah.
pleads. Hold on, I don't know why my phone is blowing up right
Right.
now.
She's like really popular right now for some odd ass reason, even though it's like 9:20 at night. People should be in bed.
You know, if we would have said that like 3 years ago, it would have been like, what? Like, we didn't start, when we were in college, we didn't even start going out. Like, we planned to meet up at 10 to like
Yeah.
start going out. That's crazy to me now.
Mm-hmm.
How did I stay awake?
Have you seen those TikToks that it's like, oh, we're gonna take the pre nap before we like get out, before we go
Mm-mm.
out, and we're like, all right, guys, wake up now, wake up. I'm like that's during that time period right there of like trying to wake everybody else up before it's time to go, and I'm like, do I really want to? And should I just let them oversleep?
Mm.
Like that's the kind of thought process that I have. I've
So, like,
definitely
what
been
if
in
we
that
miss it
scenario too.
entirely?
Yeah, why don't we just don't go? Because honestly, I'd rather stay here now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so anyways, back
Mm-hmm.
to the story. Another another qualm that I think is probably the fact that it's a children's book, but again, we read a lot of those and it's not
Mm-hmm.
usually this much of an issue. I think it can still be realistic. Um th- Things happened way too easy. Everybody was entirely too
Okay.
helpful.
Mm-hmm.
There was literally a part where like even the culprits, the second that Nancy says one singular word to them, they're like, "Fine, I'll tell you everything I know." And
Yeah.
like what even like people on the street like Nancy is at the train station, for example, and this is where her dad was last seen. She's trying to figure out where he is, and
Mm-hmm.
she asks a bunch of cab drivers, and you know nobody says anything, and then she's on the phone with the police captain, and someone comes up to her after she hangs up and says, um, I think I can help you. She says, well, yesterday I was here when the Chicago train came in. I noticed a tall, handsome man, such as you describe your father to be, step off the train. He got into the taxi driven by a man named Harry. I have a feeling that for some reason the cabbie isn't telling you the truth. Let's talk to him. Um, like, first of all, who pays that much attention to shit that does not, like, concern you? I understand
Yeah.
women did not have a lot to do in this time,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe to be in everybody's business, and I respect that. But also, it's like, how do you know that this man was named Harry driving the cab, and you just happen to remember this, even though you're there at the train station every day witnessing this shit?
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and I just feel like the police making Nancy go and interrogate the suspects. This 18-year-old girl, they're like, maybe you can do something that our years of police training couldn't do. And she literally does the
And then the
most
captain being
basic
like,
thing.
how you do that?
She does the most basic thing where she's like, you know, maybe you're not that bad of a guy. And he's like, I'm not. I want to be done with this, and I'm gonna give up my partner, despite me feeling a little bit afraid. I'm gonna forget about the
Right.
threats on my family and everything. I'm just gonna tell you whatever I know.
I'm gonna
What?
forget about the fact that I'm now complicit in a crime and whatnot. Now that
Yeah.
could also come back and bite me in the ass, but okay.
Also, like, if you just ask people things, they're
Mm-hmm.
not gonna just tell you. They don't know you. Like, if somebody asks me for my life
Mm-hmm.
story, I'm gonna be like, why the fuck are you asking me? Like, leave.
What you need to know this for? Are you trying to steal my identity? Like, what are you
Right.
doing? Yeah.
Maybe it's just people were too trusting back then.
That is, I
And
mean, there's a lot of serial killers before the 2000s. There was a lot of them buggers.
what?
There's a lot of serial killers.
Well,
Do you
yeah.
know? Yeah, and the reason why they got away with it for a long time is because of like niceness
I
and
was just
whatnot.
wondering why you brought up the 2000s. I was like, this was not it. But
Before.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, it was a long time. Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
until, like, the 90s, 2000s that even, like, people realized that crimes were happening, like, regularly.
Maybe we should lock our doors.
Yeah, maybe
What
we should
a
lock our door.
crazy thought.
Maybe we shouldn't let our 6-year-old child roam the entire town with no supervision.
Let's not pick up strangers on the side of the road.
Right.
What's the point?
Yeah, so I don't know. I was just like, this just not age well.
Mhm.
Because there's no way people are this helpful. But look at these like cool pictures in the back. Like, ignore these like scribbles. Cool. Anyways,
Cute.
um,
I listened to the audiobook through YouTube, and I had it broken up into like chapters. And the last one had it was just Goose, and it was just like the voice actor, like getting shit together,
mm,
figuring out how she's gonna say shit, trying to
yeah.
make it sound right. Yeah, it's cute.
Um,
Mm-hmm. But watch that on YouTube, guys.
Another thing I want to say is not necessarily about the story. It's about this
Mm-hmm.
physical book right here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we need to bring these back. This is a hardback technically,
Mm-hmm.
although it looks like a paperback because there's no dust jacket. Right? It's just the picture is on the hardback and it's comfortable and it's small and it opens super easy.
Do you read with the dust jacket on, or you take it off until you're finished?
I take it off till I'm finished.
Mm.
I used to leave it on, I think, but then it's just like it gets too everywhere, and it's always like slipping, and it
Mm-hmm.
drives me nuts. And I know like people are like, oh, just take it off, and I do, because
Mm.
nobody makes it like this anymore.
Yeah, but
But
now the covers are plain and boring and shit when you take the dust jacket off.
they're plain and boring, and then also like,
Mm-hmm.
where do I fucking put this dust jacket?
I
Like, it's just trash until I'm done with the
actually,
book.
I actually do use my dust jacket as like a bookmark
Yeah,
for like what I'm reading.
I feel like it's too clunky for me. I don't like it. Don't
Mm-hmm.
like it. I just think I'm not saying we have to eliminate it completely. Why don't we make these anymore? I'm genuinely
My
curious.
my Twilight book, I'm pretty sure it's the first, no, the last one, Breaking Dawn. Um, it has a dust jacket, but it also has like the cover of it is also just like completely done as well. Like it looks like that, and then it
Yeah.
also has a dust jacket. That dust jacket is also a poster with Bella and Edward, though. So
Okay. That I will accept that because it has a dual purpose. Okay.
yeah.
But if you're just and sometimes it's like I have some books where whenever I get a hardcover, I always take it off to see what the actual book itself looks like because sometimes they're
Mm-hmm.
pretty. There's been several times where I take it off and I'm like, well, the dust jacket picture sucks ass, but the actual cover of the physical book looks great. It's so beautiful. Why didn't you just? Why do we need? It pisses me off.
All right, let me know. What are your thoughts on libraries and the way that they would tape down the dust jacket? Like tape it so
Mm.
much you can't take that shit off, and you just gotta listen to it crinkle while you read.
I think like the crinkling doesn't bother me, and it doesn't bother me as much because it stays in place. Like the
Hmm.
jacket doesn't like go everywhere when I'm like turning a page or whatever. But um it's uncomfortable for my hands to hold it open. I get like paper
Hmm.
cuts from the fucking laminated jacket. Um So it's like it's not my favorite experience, but also it's a temporary book. So I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, I never like want to put the dust jackets back on the books, but I also don't want to throw it away. I don't know.
No.
I don't like it.
Mm-mm. I just bought like book 2 and 3 of before the Coffee Gets Cold series.
Hmm.
My dumbass just didn't realize that I picked up book 3 and not book 1. Because I don't have the physical before the Coffee Gets Cold book. Is because I'm pretty sure like the first part of it's like before the something whatever, and the Target fucking sticker was in the way, and I just wasn't thinking about it. Um, those fucking stickers get on my goddamn nerves. Stop
That's
putting them on the
another
fucking
thing.
cover.
You just ruined the fucking cover because you use stickers that are fucking impossible to get off.
No, I will say, Targets aren't that bad. There aren't the worst ones to take off.
It's not even
Like
just
the
Target
Target
though.
regular one.
Like
No, it's not.
also
It's
if
a
you
lot of
buy
other people
any
do that.
used books and they have like the other sticker on there,
Mm-hmm.
that shit is impossible.
Yeah,
That residue is never it's collecting hair for the rest of its life.
you gotta you gotta get that blow dryer and like hold it there and be really
Mm,
slow. But that's the key. It's unnecessary.
okay.
But that is how you do it without
Yeah, it's a
the
lot of
residue.
work. Yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate the hack and I'm sure listeners do
Mm-hmm.
too. It still fills me with rage,
Yeah.
but
100%.
there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Solution.
Oh, but I brought up those books to say that they're the hardback ones, and they do have the dust jacket or whatever. And when you take them off, it's literally just a plain colored book underneath it, but like a metallic lettering for the
Yeah,
title on the
yeah. Spine.
yeah, on the
Mm-hmm.
spine of it. And that's it. I'm like,
Disappointing.
that's boring.
Even
Come
like
on.
there are even some hardbacks where like there's just like a metallic little picture that represents the book. I'll
Mm-hmm.
take that. You
Yeah.
know, I prefer something a little more intricate, but I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Back
but
to the
just a
stickers
plain
thing.
blue book. Ugh.
Yeah, it's boring. Back to the stickers thing. It's not a sticker, but the Netflix logo that they keep stamping on these shit that gets made into a fucking movie. I didn't care.
I hate the
Give me
movie
this.
tie-in editions.
Give me this fucking thing. I don't want that. I also don't like it when you only have the movie cover books and not whatever the original one was.
Okay, so you're saying you can't get them like you don't like when people own the movie tie-in and they don't own the
No,
book.
I'm saying I want if I go to Target or Barnes and Noble, I want you to have both versions if you're going to sell it,
Oh,
not
you're saying
just
sellers. Okay, gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha.
I don't care about buy whichever one you want.
I was
I
like, I'm
personally,
surprised you like. I know you collect different editions of books that you like, so I was like,
yeah,
hmm.
but that's like Percy Jackson's the only book series that I have like different editions of. It's old enough to have like different ones, and it looks nice. Like the more time has passed. If J.K. Rowling wasn't such a ass person, I probably would have gotten a new Harry Potter one because there have been a lot of like good editions out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I did consider it, but I don't want to give her any money. So, but
There's nothing like reading your old ratty editions out of spite. That's where I'm at too.
yeah. I honestly, I kind of just figured if I do get a replacement, because I do, my Harry Potter books are they're fucked up because a dog like ripped it up. My old dog
Oh.
ripped it up. Yeah, I mean they're readable, but they don't have cover. Not all of them have covers. And the paper's like bit up,
Well,
and I just
well, that's when you
yeah.
have to get it like used. So like the proceeds don't go to her
Mm-hmm.
because it's already bought.
Yeah, I was also thinking though of like there are people out there that will like custom make stuff like that for you
Mm-hmm.
of just like new covers for things. And I was like,
Yeah, I see
maybe
that on
I might do
TikTok
that
a
one
lot.
day.
It does kill me when
Mm-hmm.
they rip off the original covers to make the pretty
Yeah.
one a little bit, but it's satisfying at the end.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was thinking like maybe like sometime in the future I might do that for the series. But
Yeah.
considering I'm not trying to reread them right now, I truly don't care. And the spine looks fine, so that's all you need to see.
You only see the terror when you pull it out of
Exactly.
the
Don't
case.
take it off the fucking shelf.
This is going back to our last Mystery Tales pro mind your business. Do not start reading random books out of people's bookshelves,
Yeah.
okay? Mind your
Don't touch it.
business.
Mind your business. Have you seen those TikToks of like people who loan their books out to somebody else and then get it back and it's like extremely fucked up?
That's happened to me.
Seriously?
Yeah, by my own fucking mother, the betrayal. Wendy? Yes, I still hold a vendetta against this. Okay, and she's told me before that she's still like, I've allowed her to borrow my things in the present day, my books, but she says that she's scared every time. Like, now she's really paranoid because she fucked up one time, and I've never let it go. But one of my books, it's really humid in Ohio, and so if you leave a book outside, even if it's not raining, it'll get wavy.
Yeah.
So, in her defense, she did not realize that it would do this. Oh my god, my mom just texted me. How'd she know?
She knew you were talking about it.
Damn.
Her ears were burning. She knew.
Yeah, but then she brought it in the house the next day, and I was like, what is the whole book was wavy.
Yeah, I've never like loaned a book out and had somebody like fuck it up, but I have loaned a book out and not gotten it back.
Yeah,
like
that's
it's going
happening too.
on almost a decade now and I'm not missing it anymore, but like I never got Eclipse and New Moon back from the friend in high school that I loaned it to.
Oh my god, I thought that was me for a second.
No, you gave me mine back.
Yeah, because I loaned New Moon from you, didn't I?
I think so, maybe.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and then you got new editions of New Moon, and then
I when I was missing those ones, I just like went ahead and got it used.
Yeah.
From like some secondhand like website or
Thrift
even
books.
just like from the
Thrift books is great, guys.
Yeah. Um I'm a little bit annoyed now though about it because they're not the same edition as the ones that I had originally, which means that they're not the same size anymore. And the texture of the cover isn't the fucking same. So Eclipse is now fucking matte, and then everything else is like the glossy cover. And New Moon is like fucking short. And I was always like slightly annoyed about the fact that I had like the hardcover Breaking Dawn because when I got it, that's all that was out at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, my Twilight series, I have all of the books of like the entire thing, of like every version of it that Stephanie Meyer has ever put out, even like the Gender Ben one and Etworth's Perspective and the little short story novella that she put out. But they're all like different and they don't flow well together. They don't look nice together. I feel it annoys me a bit.
I would say, yeah, I mean, that annoys me a little bit too. I think what annoys me the most about all of those things is when you have like I feel like if you have a series, it needs to be either all paperback or all hardback. And I've done that too, or like I've gotten gifts that are like, you know, you get the paperback and then the other one's not out in paperback yet, so hardback. Which we might have talked about this before, but why did they release in hardback first?
I don't know. Maybe because they cost more. Aren't they usually a little bit more expensive? Or at least back in the day, they used to be a little bit more. I don't know if they're still are.
I feel like now there's really not much difference.
Yeah.
But back before, it used to be a big difference.
Cost a little more. Yeah. I don't have it anymore. I have no idea where it is. I'm pretty sure it got lost in a move. But I had Percy Jackson, The Last Olympian. That's the 5th book. The final one of the series, and it was the only one that I had in hardback because my mom gave me or would buy the books like one like after another. Like she waits until I finished it and then she would buy me the new one, help space it out and whatnot. But that was the only one that I had that was in hardback, and I was like, why didn't you get it in paperback? Why didn't you buy the other ones in hardback? She was like, they didn't have it. What do you want from me? I'm like, I want a fucking paperback book. That's what I want. But yeah, no. Anyways, it's lost now, and I don't have at least that edition of the 5th book. I have the new one that I bought last year. I will find that fucking 5th one. It's hard now trying to find like the older original copy of the book. because there was like another one or two iterations of editions that Rick had put out, and they had like different covers and whatever. And that's not the one that I have.
We should wrap this up anyway because
Yeah,
we're done talking about the book. So,
yeah.
anyways, this has been our various book qualms related to the Hidden Staircase or not. Thanks for listening,
Mm-hmm.
guys. You can find us here every Monday. In the meantime, you can find us on the socials. We're on Instagram and TikTok at TMTTS Podcast. You can email us at tmttspodcast@gmail.com. Please remember to rate and review this wherever you listen. Go listen to previous episodes. Recommend this to other people. And we will see you back here next time. Bye.
Bye.